people, sometimes people wanted to come today and just life happens and they weren't able to come today. And then they were like, oh, I have to wait another whole month to hear about what you guys were talking about. I'm like, no, I was smart and I remembered to, being smart, I just remembered to hit the record button. So, hey, good afternoon, welcome. It's our very first communication mastery. It's myself, Dwayne Richards, CPA, and my friend Mamie. And Mamie's coming in from Denver today, right?
Yep.
Denver,
Colorado.
And one of the things we're talking about today, well, it is the title, Communication Mastery. And there aren't any secrets, are there, around being good communicator? But there's tools, and it's a skill. Communication and being a better communicator, it's a learned skill. Some of us were born with kind of the gift of talking. That wasn't me. I was born as an introvert. I can relate to the gentleman here from India. I spent 20 years in working for corporations in accounting. I was kind of a little bit exception to the rule, not completely introverted. Eventually I learned that to progress in my career, maybe I had to learn how to communicate and ask questions. You can speed up the learning curve by asking people and getting to learn how the business runs. And there's no book when you get to on your job and you get to the job. There's no book. It's like, oh, read this book and learn everything about the company. It doesn't work that way. The way I learned was I went for lunch. One of the companies, almost every day I went for lunch with the controller, our VP of finance, and the president and CEO of the company. It was a healthcare company. And we went for lunch every day in the cafeteria. And I just sat there and I listened to them tell stories and talk about the business. That was a great way to learn about the business. One of my other, in concrete forming, I knew nothing about concrete forming construction. I would sit down usually later at the end of the day, I'd sit down with my boss and he would tell me, okay, who our customers were, what our projects were. You're just the accountant, you're counting the numbers. Why do you care about the projects? I cared about the projects because it had an impact on inventory, impact on sales, had an impact on when we could recognize revenue. And I didn't need to, but it made those jobs easier in a way because I was open to having conversations with people. And then after all of that, I got introduced to one of the programs one of the tools we're going to talk about today, which is BankCode. I didn't get introduced to BankCode till after my corporate career was not done, but kind of came to an end. And now I use this communication tool in my day-to-day growing of my business to say, as an accountant growing my business, I have to do sales. I have to do marketing. I have to communicate. I have to talk to my customers, or else I won't have any customers anymore. So that's the tool. So that's a lot of chatter from me. Want to do a quick introduction of yourself, Mamie, to say why you're here with me. Or we're here together, actually. You're not here with me, you're together.
In fact, Dwayne, if it wasn't for you, I would not have found out about Bank. You know that. And when you introduced Bank to me, how long ago was that? 2014? Could have been 2014. And what happened was I just took off with it, Dwayne, because at that time I was a manager of a broadcast company. So I had about 300 employees under me, and I was about to lay them off. And I'm like, how can I lay off 300 people when we need them to do the contracts that I have, right? And so what happened was I got to go to a training, 3-day training, and I learned all about values and personalities. And this is the biggest thing that I found out, Wayne, was that of the 300 employees that were under me, I would say majority of them were in the wrong department. The wrong department. And the reason for that is they were in the wrong department because all they wanted was they needed a job. And so I had people who were working with people who couldn't communicate. They even didn't like working with people. And so I needed to get them off the front line. Then I had people off the front line in, say, the Q&A and the development department, and they were amazing with people. And so what we did was I did a reutilization using the bank code, and I put them into positions where they could excel. We reutilized them, and I did not have to lay off 300 people. And it was all about communication. And it was communications between our engineers and our salespeople. And if you're in a company, you know that they communicate very differently, yes? And so when we were able to recognize what was important to each of the persons sitting in front of us, we were able to then shift the communication and actually get the job done. And so that's why I'm here. I love working with people and showing them how they can master their own communication, whether it's in their personal lives or in their business lives, Dwayne. And a lot of times, in order for my business to grow, I don't know about you, but in order for my business to grow, I need to get people. And so my currency is not money. My currency is people. And the more people that I get to work with, I can make $1 too. How's that?
Yeah. And what's great is I got introduced to, and if you're here, or if you're watching the replay, I put in the link, which is my bank code, and I'm just gonna do a quick, screen share once I find where I want to go. 1 second. I just gotta bring it into my active screen, and I'm just gonna do a quick screen share just to show people what it is. And it's not a bait and switch. This is the tool. So hopefully maybe you see the crack my code, and so this is the link. So in the chat I put in my bank code, and this Dwayne Richards is me. So this is my and I go crack my code, and I'll go down here. It's as simple as we got these four cards. Usually I have them here on my desk. I'm not sure where mine are right now. Mamie has hers. And what we're going to do is it's as simple as the sets of words. There's 12 words on each. 12 words. Oh, someone else is coming in, so we'll let them in. And I'm going to say, well, which resonate with me? Maybe so. Again, is it stability? Is it freedom? Is it relationships? Is it learning? I kind of shift mine kind of shifts a little bit, but I know as much as I want to be action and freedom and flexibility, maybe we know that's not I can do this now. I can be at the front of the room, but we still know it's not number one. I can try to make it number one, but we still know it's not number one. So sometimes by default, it's like, well, I know it's kind of process of elimination. I know what's not number one, so let's put it and you can move them around. I like value. I value structure and planning and punctuality. Like I did open the room before 12 o'clock today. So for certain things, we know we have to organize. We had to promote this event up on Meetup before, and we know that's important. Sometimes I'll put my credentials up to say I am a CPA. I pay $1,000 a year to maintain that CPA credential because it helps me gain clients in my business. But it's actually number 3, in case you're trying to guess. And I kind of go back and forth between whether I probably need to do the quiz again, whether I'm an NK or a KN. But today I'll say I'm more knowledge than nurture. You can kind of maybe nurture knowledge, probably pretty close to being tie. And then if I put in my name and my email name and I'll actually get this lovely report explaining what this is all about. And if you're just joining, our other 2 people left, but Shaker, you've just got here, so welcome. And don't worry, we're recording it, so hey, don't hurt our feelings if it's not for someone. But we're just here to share how I've used the training from and methodology around communications to help A, professionally, and B, personally, in my relationship with my family, with my ex-wife, with my with my partner. We've been together 7, 8 years, growing an accounting practice, because accountants, in my opinion, maybe, accountants haven't necessarily done a great job as communicators. We're high knowledge, high skilled, in some cases, high nurturers, but we haven't necessarily done a great job in selling, in building the relationships, continuing to develop relationships as we've got clients. We just assume that hey, you're just going to come back next year, right? And we don't really ask. What I did this year was, I actually, like last tax season, I actually asked them to do Google reviews, and 18 of my clients went to Google and gave me 5-star reviews. You can't buy marketing like that. You can't buy marketing like that. People on their own. I didn't incent them to do that. I need to step away from my keyboard for a minute. Yeah, that's okay. Hey, we'll still be here sharing stories. And again, this is our first go. We're sharing stories about how we've used this tool around communication to not just grow our businesses, but just be better communicators. And when people ask me, maybe the #1 skill for like young or old or anybody on the planet, #1 skill that can be learned, improved, is communications. Your ability to communicate, #1 skill. Before you go learning about programming or any like sales is this, but learning how to be a communicator, active listening. Would you agree, or what's your thoughts on the #1 skill?
#1 skill is communication. I mean, that's what I teach. And the reason why is, when you cannot communicate, Dwayne, that's a problem. And I work with many different industries, and what I teach them is to understand where to come from with their clients. For instance, in your field, Dwayne, because I just worked with a tax, a CPA here in Los Angeles, actually, when I was there. And his first thing was, well, I'm not really sure this could help me in my business. And so I asked him, how many people said no to you in the past year when you actually gave them all the information that you thought they needed? And he said, well, there's quite a bit. I don't want to admit that, right? What we found was this, Dwayne, like you, he is a knowledge blueprint nurturing action. So that means, if we took a look at that, that means that he loves data. He gave a lot of data in a very organized fashion. Well, can you imagine this, Dwayne? If he did that to me, I'm what they call a nurturing personality. And I told him, I didn't tell him, this is what I did to him, Dwayne. I went like this, right? And that was because he was passionate about what he could do for his clients. However, he gave me information overload. That's not important to me as a nurturing personality. And so this is what I told him. There are 4 kinds of people that are going to walk into your office. And the 4 kinds of people, they're looking for specific things because that's what's important to them. So can you imagine when someone walks into our space that we could immediately know? That would be amazing, wouldn't it? Immediately know how to speak to what's important to them, because this is what it's all about. That's what communication is all about. Sometimes when we're talking, we think we're on the same page, and then when action has to take place, guess what happens? We're all on a different page. And so what I showed him, and if we got some time, I'll just give you a really quick on how we showed him how to communicate with his customers. You okay with that?
Yeah, it's great. I'm just looking, not sure if Shakers is there. Yeah, I hope he's still listening. I went back to just kind of check his the meetup, because again, he's a new person to our meetup group. He had people answer some questions when they joined the meetup group. So his what's your number one business or career goal for 2022? Actually, I have to update it because it's 2023 now. So to be hired by a company. So this is a really good tool. Again, the importance of communication when you're either when you're the hirer, when you're the employer, or even better, when you're the employee or potential employee, and you're sitting on so if I'm sitting here, maybe, and you're interviewing me, and I can take a look and I can kind of tell kind of what's in your surroundings. So I see a bunch of books on the right-hand side. I can see some pictures. If I see a picture of if I see a picture of your grandchildren somewhere, I know that Mamie's a grandma. If I did a little research on social media, I'd see like her posting about her grandchildren and her children. And I'd start to be able to put the clues. I could start to map the clues together to then identify what her number one is. And we can do that. So how about you? Yeah. So why don't you? So that's just kind of seeding how it can be used. So do a little story about your tax accountant, because it's super relevant, because we'll put this back into the CPA group where there's 1,400 people who have that kind of, not necessarily everyone guaranteed to be a stereotypical accountant, but they can relate.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about, Dwayne. It's about relationships. And this is where communication comes into play. For a tax accountant to the client, from a doctor to the client, from a realtor to the client, all about people and understanding what's important to them. And if you understand exactly what's important to them, you have the ability to get what I call more yeses. And more yeses leads to more sales, and more sales could potentially lead to more sales in less time. And that's what I got involved with in the beginning with Bank. What I really found, and what's kept me in the Codebreaker technology methodology, is my ability to build those relationships that get me in front of the people who really need to learn how to communicate. So let's get back to that tax accountant. I told him, go ahead, Dwayne.
First thing, I take myself off mute. I just want to say welcome to Nicole. Nicole, welcome. You just jumped into the room. You're more than welcome to it's not just a webinar. It's not just me and Mamie talking. Just our first few people that joined us today were here, and then they departed. So just to plant the seeds, I have been recording today. So if you want, we can quickly catch you up though. So what we're talking about today is, actually, I'm just looking to say that I'm checking out the meetup group to see who you are. Would like to network with like-minded professionals, and your 2023 is to relocate to Ontario. So welcome. I am a CPA in Ontario. I'm based in Toronto, Ontario, and you two are also new to the meetup group. I do have a master's in tax reporting license in California. Nice. So Mamie is she's coming in from Denver, Colorado. One of the things we're talking about today is around communication and communication mastery. And you're like, what's communication have to do with accountants? Well, I used to be that stereotypical introverted accountant. Now I'm running a meetup group and leading presentations. And we talked about that communication is it's a learned skill. We can all learn to be better communicators in work, in our personal lives, with our spouses, with our children, with our family members, and employees or employers, or as we're growing our practices with our clients. In the chat, you'll see there's a quick link there, and there's a link to the bank code, my bank code, Dwayne.Richards. It's free. It's a tool that we use in our businesses, and you can use every day. It's a free tool for you to just click on it. And what I did it, and then maybe just share with us just remind me what is we talk about the four attributes that's bank. It's blueprint, action, nurture, knowledge.
Yeah.
There's a combination of them. What's yours? We talked about that. There's a high N with Mamie's.
Nurturing. I'm a nurturing action.
Action.
Nurturing action. Blueprint, knowledge.
Knowledge is on the bottom. So, but nurtures and knowledge, people can still be friends. So my knowledge is first, Mamie's is last, and we can both be friends. I'm ready to screen to get video. May belong to during the process. Yep, that just whatever works. We're still here. We're here for at least another 20 minutes or so, unless people leave. But we're here. Don't worry. You can whatever if you can just reset to get it to work properly. We'd love to kind of have you come on so we could actually see you. Mamie and I can talk all day, but it's much more fun when we can actually see who we're talking to and interact with the people who are here. Okay, so Mamie, while Nicole's doing that. Oh, all right. So Nicole's coming. A second, Nicole's coming.
She said she'll come back, and she'll come back on video.
Yeah, she's gonna have two on here in a second. But she can delete the old one.
Awesome. And I think Shanker had to step away, but they're in.
But that's okay. Hey, they're still here. They could be listening in the background.
Mm-hmm.
We don't mind.
Awesome.
Oh, there you are.
Hi, welcome.
Hey, Shanker. All right, so so just take a minute and just say hello and what got you here today, or what one thing, if you listened so far, or what one thing you're hoping to get out of being here on the meetup today. So no, on the LinkedIn or on the meetup group, you said about looking for like full-time, looking for a job. So just share where you are, and kind of professionally what your background is.
So I'm currently a student, and I am brought here to this meetup just because I want to improve my communicational skills. I agree with you that what you mentioned earlier, that communication is very important, and it's also something that it's also a skill that can be developed over time. And I previously wasn't as confident in my ability to improve my communication skills. I thought that it might be a little bit more of a fixed trait, but I don't believe that as much anymore. And now I do want to see how well I can develop my ability to communicate with others.
And you did the first step, which was turning on the camera and turning on the mic, and then joining to be able to. So okay, really quick, where are you a student? What school are you going to?
It's based in Sault Ste. Marie. It's called Algoma University.
Okay, yep. It's up there. Sault Ste. Marie. You know where Sault Ste. Marie is? Maybe Sault Ste. Marie is like on the top. You know when you have to like turn over. We kind of joke about the map of Ontario, like the paper map. So on the paper map, Ontario, you actually have to turn it over because on the other side of the map is like Thunder Bay, and like he's at the top of Lake Superior. It's up there, like on the top of Michigan. So we know where Michigan goes to the top.
Yeah.
That's where. And what are you studying at school?
I'm studying computer science.
Computer science, so, which is fantastic. We say, and a lot of computer scientists, like accountants, are more introverted. We're more introverts than extroverts. All that means is that we kind of we get energy by being around ourselves. And that kind of at the end of the day, if we did this all day, we'd be pretty tired. Mamie's more of an extrovert than an introvert, so she gets energy by doing this all day. We get a little bit tired. Doesn't mean that we can't all. Sometimes introverts, they say, introverts are actually better communicators because introverts are better listeners. Where we just stop talking, just let the other people talk. We learn, especially from a computer science point, that you have to be able to be a good community to ask the questions, but then to be able to listen for the answers. It's great. Okay. I'm not sure if Nicole's there. I kind of see a black screen.
Dwayne, Shanker, I'm going to encourage you to click on that link that Dwayne gave you, because that will give you a really good indication of how you actually communicate and what's important to you. And understanding that, you can then communicate that to people who are not the exact same as you. And if you actually do that, then I'd be happy to use your code as an example once I tell this story about the tax accountant. You okay with that?
Yeah, I'll get started on it right now.
Yeah.
Awesome. So while you're doing that,
takes about 2 minutes.
yeah.
It's not a long quiz. Nicole's coming in. We're gonna let Nicole in one more time. I like Nicole's persistence though. She's sometimes people just kind of quit, those people that try once, it doesn't work the first time, so they quit. They're like, oh, maybe it will work next time. Or it just isn't Nicole's technology. There's Nicole. All right. Nicole's here today. And we're saying that like there's a certain personality type that is that persistent. Say, no, I'm gonna get it to work, and I'm just gonna. We got Shaker here, who's a computer science. He's studying computer science. So sometimes we need tech support. Sometimes it's the Zoom. Sometimes it's our computer. It's our phone. Okay, Nicole, where are you today? Are you in California still, or are you making your way to Ontario? But you're still on mute. You just have to take yourself off mute. Usually, are you on your phone? Usually just down at the bottom, there's a little button to push somewhere. I haven't done it on my phone lately.
Shanker, if you've got your code, just put it in the chat and we can talk to it.
Yes, just one sec. I just have to.
Not a problem. So sorry, Nicole, you're having trouble with that. Coming off mute.
It looks like your other device is unmuted. But you're not, we can't hear you. But we can see you. Seeing you is a good start. She's happy, she's still smiling. She's not completely frustrated by us yet.
No problem.
All right. Do you want to start your story, Mamie?
Yeah. So Dwayne, when I went into when I was working with the tax accountant, he was what we call the knowledge personality, just like you. So he wore the green glasses. And I'm going to show you the green because this is how simple it could be for you to shift your communication style. For knowledge personalities, they are all about the learning. They're lifelong learners. My husband's a knowledge. So opposites attract and opposites also attack sometimes. And for our knowledge personalities, they love learning. It's all about the intellect and the logic. They like to self-master or get self-mastery through the learn from start to finish. They love the research and development. Not all of them do, but most of them do love research and development. They love science, and you cannot argue with universal truth. And so with a knowledge personality, if there's something that cannot be backed up by some sort of knowledge or data, then they're going to ask you questions and questions until they understand and but they understand that you are an expert in your field, you're competent, you've got accurate information, and what they want when they talk to you is they want the big picture, but they're data heavy. This was the accountant that I went to when I went to train. What I told him was he had all of the right stuff if I was a knowledge personality. However, I'm not a knowledge personality, everyone. I'm okay with data, but I'm the one that you call the nurturing personality. I'm the one that walks into a room, raises sunshine, I kiss and hug everybody. And if you ever saw my husband, when I first met him, the only reason why he gave me a kiss and a hug was because he wanted to go on a date. But other than that, most knowledge personalities don't want you to touch them in any way. For a nurturing personality, I like to build relationships. The tax accountant wanted to just give you the data. And so I told him, if you want to do business with me, and I'm going to call him Dwayne because Dwayne's sitting right there. Dwayne, if you want to do business with me, you really need to build that relationship with me. Just don't give me a data dump, because for me, that turns me off. Build a relationship. I want to know what's, you know, what you love in your life and how are you going to impact the world. If I know, like, and trust you, I'll do business with you. However, I need to, what I call, feel you. With a knowledge personality, my husband, it's not about the feel, it's about the intellect. And so when you are now working with two different personalities on what we call opposite spectrums, you need to understand that the languaging and what's important to one is not important to the other. With the knowledge personality, they want the big picture. For me as a nurturing, I don't care about the big picture. I want to know how that's going to make me feel and what's in it for what's going to help me help other people. And how is that going to make a difference in the world? We pride ourselves on teamwork and involvement, community, charity, harmony. You guys know anybody in your life that is like that? Well, as we take a look at these personalities, you might want to, if someone pops in your mind, write their names down and then put the personality next to it, because when you can actually see, feel, or imagine someone in that personality, you're going to have an easier time communicating. You'll have an easier time mastering the communication, because now you'll be able to understand that the glasses that you wear is not necessarily the glasses that are being worn by the people that you're working with, that you're building relationships with. It's not even your children. If you have children, for me, it's grandchildren. My grandchildren are all opposite of me. So I've had to actually put on different glasses to communicate more effectively with my grandbabies. So with the tax accountant, when he wore his knowledge glasses, he realized that his tone, his logic, and all the data he put on me was not what I was looking for. And so the next time I went into his office and I saw him conversing with someone that I had identified as a nurturing, I noticed that he had taken off his green glasses. It's still there, guys. Green glasses is always there, but he had put on his yellow glasses for the nurturing. And these are some of the words that I heard him say as he was working with his client. So tell me what's important to you. And what we need to do is we need to make sure that what's important to you can also be used in business expenses that you want to write off. So you went to lunch with your grandma. Was that business or was that personal? You hear the question. The question is, no, you can't use that because that's personal. That's not business. For a nurturing, that turns them off. However, he was able to switch, take off his green glasses and ask, so was that a personal meeting or was that a business meeting? Because there's a difference and there's a potential that we may not be able to write that off. So rather than turning that person off immediately, he was able to ask the question in a way that, one, did not offend, two, appealed to the value of the nurturing sitting there, and he still got his job done in collecting the data that he needed. Does that make sense? Okay. Now imagine this, Shankar. You walk into, and am I pronouncing your name properly?
Yeah, that's fine.
Thanks. How would I pronounce it?
Fine, or what's the correct way?
It would more so be Shankar. So it's like an sound.
Shankar.
Shankar.
It's great. I was in just as a quick example, I was in a grade 4 class this morning, Mamie. So I volunteer with CPA Canada, and we go into schools doing financial literacy presentations. So I was in a class this morning, and then I was in a class yesterday in the same school, but they kind of were sitting at desks, but they didn't. Today I was in a different class, and they actually had their names printed on paper on the bottom, like on the front of the desk, and I'm sitting there talking to them. And it took me about 15, 20 minutes. And then I finally looked down and I'm like, oh, they actually have their names. So then also now you can start referring to, and then the amazing thing here in Toronto is it's so multicultural that there's some names I just couldn't, I didn't. So then you ask them, it's like, oh, like, I want to be able to refer them, which is a very nurturing thing to do. So that because not just nurture, everyone wants to be communicated to with their correct name. So be able to say Shankar versus Shank, like a versus like a hard A. Because in some cultures, like pronouncing something with a hard A is like you'd be hitting the eject button and I'm out of here. They didn't ask me how to pronounce it properly. So again, that's how we use it. As a quick example on Mamie's tax accountant, I got a referral the other day. So I have two of my clients are brothers and brother-sister. So the sister became a client, and then while I was talking to her, she's like, oh, I live with my brother and he could use your services too. So she introduced me, and we actually got his taxes done last year fast because it was pretty simple. His were done within a day, not a competition, but if they were high action, I could make it a competition. High nurture. So she introduced me to her brother. And then I get a message a couple of weeks ago through my website saying, hi, my name's Pam. I am the mother of Jamie and Joshua, and I would like you, we're looking for a new accountant, and they suggested that my husband and I work with you as our accountant. So now the mother and the father, and then there's twin siblings that are just started university that now need to make sure they file. So all of a sudden, again, by leveraging the 4 different personality types, by leveraging the nurturing, all of a sudden my clients, and I gained about 60 clients last year through referrals. So by being a high enough value, whether it be a KNNK, and welcoming new clients, I'm able to grow my business by understanding the importance of doing a face-to-face, one-on-one phone call with the mother to understand what their needs are, and so she can meet me. I could have easily said, okay, here's the form, it's a done sale, it's an automatic sale, here's the form, here's the schedule, here's the questionnaire, and just onboarded her without having actually asked her anything specific about what makes her, like what's unique about them. She has her own home-based business. She's in marketing. She helps clients build websites and does more social media marketing. So she has a marketing background, which again, a blueprint and kind of some knowledge, but also a high enough nurturer, because here's this mother yeah. So it's invaluable. You can't, it's not about being a perfectionist either, because sometimes you get it wrong, right? Maybe, I don't know if you have any stories about getting it wrong, but sometimes we get it wrong, and that we think it's this code, and then when they actually do it, because it's not that we did it wrong, we just didn't ask enough questions to understand what someone's is about getting enough. So I'm sure, Shankar, if you look at your professors, so if you're taking computer science, a lot of professors across the board, higher education professors, are all could be all higher knowledge people. So your Shankar's code is first K. So you can so they can relate to you because you're high knowledge, and generally because they had to get a PhD or a doctorate or a master's or some background. So the challenge is sometimes when people with a higher higher action come into the university, is that they can be really knowledgeable, but sometimes we need them in a sense, because sometimes they're more entrepreneurial. That it's like, okay, yes, there's the academic world, but in your case, Shankar, that you're gonna get your degree, and then it's like, but then I either need it, like I want to get a job or start a business. And what happens is in the academic world, a lot of them know it in theory, but not everyone's done it in practice as being an entrepreneur. When I did my degree at the University of Waterloo, so I did a math degree in management accounting. So one of the courses we took was an entrepreneurship course, and they actually brought former alumni, or not former, but alumni who were running companies. So one of the guys was like Janus Systems, and Janus Systems does like some like optimization stuff at the airport. So it was like, and then the guys from like OpenText, the guys from Research in Motion, whether they're not around him, but those are all kind of went through the university. And Waterloo does a good job because they let the professors own at Waterloo, a lot of the professors own the intellectual property, where at some schools, the intellectual property is the property of the school. And it's not, doesn't necessarily encourage them to be as creative, because they're, well, yeah, it's great that the school is going to make the money, but Waterloo, a lot of the intellectual property was still owned by the professors. And that's why if you go to Waterloo, all around the university, there's all these startups and spin-offs, and the guys from Research in Motion eventually came back and they built a whole school, additional school, with the money that they gain from the product that they develop. So high knowledge people can also have a high can be high action as well. Those are the ones that kind of take the idea and then put it into practice. All right, Mamie, I don't want to take everyone's time, and I don't have to jump quite yet, but just want to be respectful of people's time. I have a new client, I have another potential new client call right at 1 o'clock. So all this talk about Banco, so we still got a bit of time, but I just want to make sure that I'm on time for 1 o'clock for my.
I can do that. Why don't I do a quick one on Shankar?
Yeah.
His code is KNAB. So in your case, you are a lifetime learner. You love things logical, and you like to make sure that you're speaking with experts, they're accurate, and you are what I call a lifelong learner. However, your second code, where it is nurturing, you like to learn, but you also like people. Okay? People that you like. But you're not comfortable in going out and meeting a lot of new people. When you feel comfortable, then you'll make that transition. I think it probably took you a lot to come on to this call, because it's not in your nature to literally show up on a call with all strangers. Yes?
No, not for that particular point. Just because I've been a part of Meetup for some time now, so I've gotten used to the whole process of showing
Very
up on
good.
webcam. But initially, it was a little bit
Mhm.
intimidating. But no, I was just a little bit busy at the start of the meeting, and then that's the reason I was a little delayed to
Not a
coming on the
problem.
webcam.
So, it's all about the knowledge. When you feel comfortable with people, then you show up and the conversations just start. When you go into stress, let me ask you this. When you go into stress, do you take action?
No, I would say not.
Okay. Action is not your foremost personality, because you will not take action unless you understand exactly what you're getting involved with and you have the process in place. You must feel comfortable before you make that choice to get involved. That's where your knowledge and your nurturing actually does not allow you to just jump in. Now, your knowledge and nurturing is about understanding and then watching and seeing how this is going to go. Action does come in when you're stressed. So that could mean that you'll make decisions a little quicker when you're in stress, but you won't make the decision until you have all of the information and your gut says, okay, this might feel, or this might be good for me. Okay. Not nurturing. Action personalities are the people who are the movers and shakers. They're the ones who think they're millionaire makers. Why? Because they love freedom, flexibility, opportunity. They love spontaneity, and they love excitement. They like to be the center of attention. I don't see that as yours, Shankar, but maybe as you know people, then you step out of that comfort zone. Okay, your last personality, so that personality comes in potentially when you're in stress. The last personality that you have, and this may apply to any of you, is the blueprint. Blueprint personalities are the ones who need stability and they need systems. They don't want bottom lines, they want details. They want you to be on time, and on time means you're late for a blueprint. So if you know anyone in your life that is like that, you're applying for jobs that are going to be in the computer science, you're going to run across quite a bit of people who want the systems and the plans in place. And because that's your last code, that's something that you may need to be aware of when you go and apply for those companies that are going to require you to have a little bit more structure. Knowledge, nurturing personalities don't have as much structure as a knowledge blueprint. So keep that in mind when you're actually going out to find a job, okay? Be aware of the company. I would highly recommend before, if you're not doing this already, before you go out for an interview, you do some research on the company so you understand what their core values are. The core values will help you to also understand what type of company they are and what they stand on. So if you know you're walking into an organization that values point to a nurturing culture, you may need to take off your knowledge glasses and put on your nurturing cap so that you can speak and have communications that are aligned with their mission, their vision, and their values and vows. All right? So we're not asking you to change when you go out there, guys. It's understanding how to adjust and how to know when to go to where the person is, start from where they're at. And in communication, communicating clearly what your wants are is important. The other part of communication is also understanding that when you listen to understand and relate and not to respond. And that's what I want you to keep in mind when you're going out for interviews. Because what you hear and what they're expecting you to respond may not coincide. So that's why I say in your interview process, listen, are they asking you to provide statistics or systems? Well, then you answer in statistics and systems. If they're asking you to talk about what actions and they're excited, don't give them systems and plans or structures. Give them bottom lines and what you would do without details. Okay? Blueprint personalities want the details. Action personalities want the bottom line. Nurturing personalities want to know how it's going to impact the world. And knowledge, they want to know if you're an expert and you're competent in what you're going to do. So that's a quick and dirty on what you could use when you're going out for an interview. Does that help you?
Yes, it does. Would you be able to just repeat that last summation? I really like that, where you said blueprint personalities want X, and then this
Sure.
person. I appreciate it.
Blueprint personalities want details. They want to mitigate risk and they want you to be on time. Action personalities, they want the bottom line and they want to know that you are open to opportunity and you've got excitement in your life. So bring up the energy. For nurturing, they want to know how you're going to make an impact in the world. Are you authentic and how do you build relationships? And then from a knowledge perspective, they want to know the big picture. And so the big picture needs to also be accurate, and they're looking for competency and the expertise. Those are some of the things that you can do. And if you did the personality assessment that Dwayne gave you, you'll be able to learn more about that because a report will be emailed to you. Okay?
Okay. And can I just ask a quick question?
Sure.
So when I did this test, I was assigning things according to how much I value them, but I think there might be a rift in terms of how much I value an aspect versus how much I actually embody that aspect.
Okay.
So like with knowledge, for example, I do try to value that the most. You know, I think that I uh, rate that as the most important, but I don't necessarily feel like I myself am as knowledgeable as I might be nurturing, for example, just because I feel like knowledge is something I aspire to, but not always actually maintain the.
You bring up a really good point, Shankar. We are all 4 personalities combined. And so at one time or at a moment in our life, our knowledge may be right there in the front, or it may take a back seat and the nurturing comes out. Okay. And then when push comes to shove and you got to get things done, we elevate the action in us so that we can complete what we started. And then, although blueprint is last, as a student, you need to have that plan. You're following a syllabus to get everything done and in on time. So we are all 4 personalities. That's why I said listen and watch for some clues. And if you join us again on our next meetup, we can go a little bit deeper into that. How's that?
That sounds good.
Okay, cool. Back to you, Dwayne.
All right, thank you, Mamie. And I think it's Hong. It's nice to get you have your camera on now. If you want, you can hit the mic button, say hello. I know you were here and then you kind of left and you came back. It's always good. Today's session has been recorded. So once we're done, I'm going to save it, and I can also send out the recording. So same with you, Shankar. If there were some points that we didn't necessarily tell you to take notes. To actually prefer not to take this to listen, but I will send out a link to the recording so that if there's some pieces that you want, the link's still here. It's mybankcode.com, and what I'll do in a second here, I'll just show you again, do one last little quick thing here about how it works. And if you have any questions, so what we were talking about, and this is what Shankar did. So he went to my bank code, came down here, and there's the 4 cards. And what we asked is that you just take a minute and you kind of read. So where Shankar read about learning, intelligence. So yes, in your academic, as a student right now, you can kind of relate to these, like the knowledge base. And sometimes though, it could be, so for you, it could be personal growth, could be community, family, relationships. And sometimes they're equal. And sometimes the biggest challenge is, no right or wrong way, is that we do ask, like there always has to be one. Like there could be 1 and 1A, and it could be a tie, but the system doesn't allow us to put like 1 and 1. It asks us to put 1, 2, and 3. So for example, what Shankar did, so he put K, N, A, B, and then if you go down here and he put his name, his last name, first name, email address, name, check the box, crack the code, and then what's fantastic is you then in your email, you'll get a written report explaining, and it's like you're looking into, some people really say, wow, it's like you're reading my mind, because it will say what all the things about a knowledge and nurture and the blueprint and action. And that's the tool. So what our intention is for Mamie and I is every month is to be back here with a similar meetup and sharing stories, getting people to do what Shankar did, which is crack their code, so then we can actually explain in real life to say, hey, if you're looking for a job, here's how you could use this on your job interview. If you're in a role, if you're managing people, here's how you could be. At a certain point at the end of my corporate career, I was done managing people. I had enough of people. As a high knowledge, I got tired of working with people that were viewed kind of as incompetent. It wasn't that they were incompetent, they just didn't necessarily have all of the skills that were required to perform their jobs. Or the worst was when you're managing people and then all of a sudden they call in sick, and it's like, but it's payroll day and we got to run payroll and my payroll person's sick. Who's going to run the payroll or who's going to run the accounts payable? Because that person, and it's the importance of understanding people, but also understand that like if people have kids get sick and they have to stay home. So it's always being more not more understanding, but understanding from the other point of view. And this is a tool that Mamie and I, there's lots of tools out there. You can go research tools all you want. This is a tool that it's not our tool, it's one that we got introduced, and it's worked really well for both of us in our businesses. And our intention is to share it with more people. So that's hopefully if nothing else, Shankar, hopefully we made a little bit of an impact on you today. And then we can say, hey, success. All right, I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to stop the recording.